When we look down at pocket tens in the cutoff, I raised to 1,000. I just added on for 15,000, so I'm in for 55,000 total on the day, but the chip count to the left of my name hasn't been updated yet. I started this hand with about 52,000 in front of me. Doyle initially bought in for 40,000. He only has 19,000 of that remaining. He 3-bets to 4,000. It folds back to me. I need to get a count of exactly how much Doyle has left. Stack sizes are really awkward. If I call, the pot will be 9,000 and Doyle will only have 15,000 total. There are just 4 pocket pairs better than ours, but there are a lot of flops that won't be good for us. I really don't want to fold. I also don't want to call and see the flop come king, queen, or jack high, then have to wonder if we're good either. You see me in the moment looking as if I'm trying to calculate how much rocket fuel it would take to get us to the moon. What I'm really thinking about is how many big blinds a shove for 19,000 effective would be. With the straddle to 400 on, it's less than 50. It's a little more than I'd really like to gamble, but I told you earlier, those hands Doyle played against Hellmuth caught my eye and made me realize that he's still willing and able to make some plays. Those hands, coupled with the fact that I know Doyle stuck more than half of his initial buy-in, makes me think it's more likely than usual that Doyle could be trying to make me his newest victim, and perhaps he's 3-betting us light. Maybe if I 4-bet jam, I can get some hands like ace-jack or ace-queen to fold. If not, I'm okay getting it in as a flip against ace-king. I just really don't want to jam and get snap called. I announced that I'm all in, and somehow we do get snap called. I figure we gotta be up against aces or kings. Nope, we're up against ace-jack suited, which I would have expected Doyle to fold because this is about the best case scenario for him when he calls, but Doyle's apparently in the gambling mood. We're flipping in a $40,000 pot against the most important person in poker's history. As badly as I'd like to win this pot, I owe Doyle a lot more than what's in the middle, so I wouldn't be too disappointed to lose. The flop comes queen 9-7 with 2 diamonds. We've got the 10 of diamonds, which could come in handy. I'm thankful that I didn't just flat the 3-bet pre-flop because I wouldn't know what to do if I checked and Doyle shoved. My eyes are glued on the run out since this is one of the biggest pots in my life and it's against one of my idols. Meanwhile, Ivy's having a tough time staying awake. The queen of diamonds comes on the turn, getting us one step closer to the win and removing 2 of Doyle's out since we pick up the flush draw. The river is the 8 of spades, giving us the victory and adding 20,000 Doyle dollars to our stack.
Brad holds. That is a nice pot right there.
This is a hand that Doyle will probably forget before he falls asleep tonight, but it's one that I'll certainly always remember. I have so much respect for all these guys. To be sitting at the same table and competing against them is something that's incredibly special. To be at 5 figures after winning an all-in against Doyle is beyond what I could have hoped for. This is the coolest moment in 2 decades of playing poker. Doyle would rebuy, then only stays for a little bit longer before heading out. It was a pleasure playing with him. I still need to remain focused though. The only thing that I can think of that would make it better is pocket kings onto the gun. The only thing that might make it better from this point would be if the camera cooperated to get a clear shot of the Cowboys, but we're not able to get everything that we want. I kick things off with a raise to 125. When I raise from early positions, I tend to use a smaller amount, and then I'll raise to a slightly larger amount, occasionally from later positions, regardless of how strong the starting hand is. The player in middle position calls, the cutoff also calls. Our old nemesis is in the small blind, the one who stacked me last time I played high stakes. We've gotten the better of him today though, so maybe he's out for revenge. He 3-bets to 600. It's kind of a small sizing considering how many players have put money in so far, and the fact that the small blind will be playing from out of position. Kings is a great hand heads up. We want to get the middle position player and the cutoff out of there so that we can go mano-a-mano. I 4-bet to 2,000. This does the trick. The middle position player folds. The cutoff quickly folds as well. What didn't make the vlog is the fact that I just 3-bet this exact opponent light not long ago. It feels like I'm coming after him, and that assessment wouldn't necessarily be inaccurate, but we just happen to have a premium pocket pair at the moment. The small blind doesn't want to relinquish his hand just yet. He wants to go to war. Small blind calls for 1,400 more. We're heads up in position in what's already a big pot. The flop comes king 7-4 with 2 hearts. We've got top set and a 4-bet pot against someone that we have a unique dynamic with. He knows that I'm not happy about losing previously to him. He feels like today I've been bullying him. It's clear from the things that he said that he doesn't want to take it anymore, while I'm wondering how we should go about this in order to get all the $17,525 that we have in our stack into the pot by the end of the hand. Something insanely unexpected happens.
I'm all call.
Sure. Rather than check to the pre-flop aggressor on a king-high board, The opponent lead jams for 4 times the size of the pot, while we have the stone cold nuts. We're playing with almost $40,000 in the middle and have no idea what we're up against. The opponent could already be drawing close to dead. If we win, this will be the biggest pot that I've ever won at Bellagio, but we're running it twice. And you guys have seen that running it twice hasn't helped me out at all in the past. It's actually cost me about $60,000 over the past few weeks. But I almost always leave it up to the opponent. He asked for 2 runouts. I agreed. I certainly don't want to get unlucky with only 1 runout while this much is at stake and lose everything. The first turn is the 8 of clubs. It actually isn't great if we're up against a hand like 6-5 suited, which just made a straight, but that seems somewhat unlikely in a 4-bet pot. The river is the 3 of clubs. At least the flush draw is missed. The king of hearts is unaccounted for, so it could be up against ace king of hearts or something like that. We probably have the first board locked up, though there's no way to know for sure since the opponent's cards are still face down. The second turn is the deuce of spades. It's as blank as it gets. We still have the absolute nuts on that board. The river is the 7 of diamonds. I don't like seeing it initially because it's red, but fortunately, it's not a heart. As long as the opponent doesn't have quad 7s, we probably scoop the entire $40,000 pot. It's time for showdown. The opponent 4x jammed king queen of hearts. Finally running it twice doesn't come back to haunt me. We win the biggest pot that I've ever won at Bellagio and inside Bobby's room. I said in the last episode that bluffing off our stack with ace queen was just a marketing expense. Having that dynamic leads us to winning way more from the same opponent the very next time we play with him in one of the most unorthodox hands I've ever seen. Still, it was a sweat since the opponent had tons of outs with 4 opportunities to drill one, but we hold in a massive spot. I actually like the player a lot. He's a brilliant person who's done well for himself outside of poker, but today, I get the best of him to win back all the money he was keeping warm for me, and quite a bit more. Never in my life have I flopped the nuts and had an opponent jam for over 4 times the size of the pot. The fact that it happened in Bobby's room while playing high stakes makes it even sweeter. Revenge mode is officially switched off. We get a count on my chips to confirm it's 17,525. The opponent pays with 4 5K flags, then some changes returned to him. After winning by far the largest pot of the session, we're up nearly $25,000 on the day. With my son about to be born, I couldn't be happier about the way everything's going right now. This is a special moment for me to be up this big. About 45 minutes goes by, then Hook opens in the hijack to 1200. We're 6-handed, so he's second to act pre-flop. Terrace is in the cutoff with a couple of ducks. He calls. We wake up in the small blind with pocket 10s. We can mix in mostly 3-bets with occasional calls. I call here. We're going 3 ways to the flop, out of position. It comes queen 10-4 rainbow. We've got a sneaky middle set and a score to settle. I check. Neither player bites. They both check back pretty quickly. We see a free card. It's the queen of spades, giving us a full house. We're gonna have to build this pot with our own bare hands. I bet 3,000, hoping someone checks back flop for pot control with a queen. Hook glances at his cards to see if his jack turned into a queen. It unfortunately didn't. He folds. Even after winning nearly a $200,000 pot against me earlier with 10-7 suited, Terrace still has revenge mode activated and it's cranked up to 11. He gathers raising chips, then makes it 8,000 to go while drawing completely dead. When you make big hands in these types of games, it's easy to make a lot of money because people are just putting on play after play. I wasn't making big hands on day 1, day 2, we've already gotten paid off once. Maybe we can win another 6-figure pot. I want to keep Terrace's bluffs in, so I just flat the raise. We got a river deuce in the last hand we went over. I wouldn't mind ordering seconds of that. Instead, we get the jack of diamonds. It's not the best river card because we could be up against queen jack. I check. Terrace, who looks like he comes from a long line of pillagers, tries to pillage this pot. He fires 12,000 into 20,000. While I'm a little concerned that we're up against a better full house, we could also be up against pocket 4s, a straight, or just trip queens. I try to target those worst hands that won't want to make another incorrect fold against me. I put in a big check raise to 45,000. We're up against what's essentially air. Terrace doesn't have anything that he can play back at us with. He folds. It's not a 6-figure pot, but it's another fairly large one that gets us all the way out of the $86,000 hold we were in at the low point of the day. Don't look now, but we're even cracking a little bit of a smile. Poker's a lot more enjoyable when you're making big hands and winning. We add on for 10,000 more. We're in for 50,000 total when we pick up 7 deuce once more. We started out so well with this hand, but lately I've been getting obliterated with it. Still, we have to try to get the bonus 300 from everyone. I raised to 300 from the cutoff. We only have to get through a few opponents to win a couple thousand. Right away we get resistance, the button calls, the small blind calls. Berkey smells blood in the water. He 3-bets at 2,000 from the big blind. It's been less than 15 minutes since his bluff shove got through, and he's returned to the ring to finish me off. I know Berkey's capable of 3-bet squeezing light. This situation was teed up for him to make a play. I'm not in the mood to fold. I 4-bet to 6,500. We're definitely forcing it at the moment. Credibility is near an all-time low. I've been a punching bag for the table. Everyone senses that I'm unraveling, so as soon as I put the chips out, I realize this isn't likely to get through. The button and small blind fold because they don't want to get caught in between me and Berkey. I wouldn't be surprised to see a light 5-bet shove. Instead, Berkey calls, which is almost just as scary. I only have 15,400 left. We've got just over a pot-sized bet remaining in our stack. I wouldn't put it past Berkey to flat our 4-bet with aces, but he can also have hands like ace-king and some other pocket pairs like queens through eights potentially. We're taking the worst hand possible to the flop with 5 figures in the middle already. I'm just hoping that we can hit a pair of some sort. If we do, we're going with it. If we get stacked, Matt will end our misery and will walk away from the table losing $50,000 exactly. The flop comes Queen Jack 7 rainbow. We hit that piece that we were looking for, but it's an awful flop aside from us slightly improving. Berkey could have easily just flopped a set. He checks. We really have to hope that he has a hand like ace-king that we're ahead of, or something like pocket 10s or 9s. I get a count of my chips to make sure that we don't happen to have significantly more than I thought. I say a little prayer to the poker gods that we're up against a high card hand, or at maximum, one pair like ace-queen, or even aces that we'll have a chunk of equity against. I close my eyes and let it fly. We don't get snap called this time. We're clearly not up against a set. No quick call gives us some partial relief that we at least didn't get flopped dead. We're for sure up against a 1-pair hand or ace-king. The issue when we shove on the flop is that we'll never be doing it with a set. We'd probably bet smaller, and Berkey knows that. We might not even rip flop with aces, but we likely would with ace-queen and kings. Berkey's sharp. He knows that we're at the end of our rope and could be forcing it with ace-king or 7-deuce, which might induce a light call. Berkey also probably doesn't feel great about what happened earlier when his mistake influenced the action. He could be thinking if he calls, we'll have a good chance to get our money back to square things up.
I'll make up for it.
No, Berkey, I thank you. I appreciate the sentiment, but you really don't have to do that. Just let go of whatever you've got. Oh, shit. Berkey calls our overbet shove for 15,400. We turn over the 7-deuce, and I'm expecting to see ace-king or ace-queen suited, but Berkey turns over pocket 10s. He has 3rd pair. I'm already down piles of money. There's a good chance that I lose this one, and I'm sent home losing $50,000. It'd be the 4th biggest loss that I've ever had. I'd like to give myself at least a shot at splitting this and getting our money back so we can continue playing the session.
All right, let's go twice.
We're in about a $45,000 all-in pot. We've only got an 18% chance of winning the first run out. The dealer gives us some help.
Once is good. Why do we ever go twice?
We drill the deuce of spades for 2 pair that holds on the first run out. We'll be minimally getting our money back, which is all I wanted. I'm happy that we don't have to sweat going bust, but I get punished for running it 2 times. We're likely only going to win half the pot rather than all of it. The second turn is the 6 of diamonds. We've got 4 total outs to scoop. It's not probable, but it isn't impossible that we drill something. We smash the deuce on the second river as well. Not only do we scoop the entire pot, we win an extra $300 from each player at the table. We go from feeling as dejected as possible to winning nearly $50,000. It felt like we were in an insurmountable hole, losing big pots in every way imaginable. Now we've got an extra life.
You deserve. After you lost this one.
I'm in disbelief. I've never won a pot anywhere near this large in this fashion, drilling one of our few remaining outs on both runouts. I have to be honest, the way I prefer to win is never by getting it in with the worst hand and sucking out. I actually feel a little bad for Berkey that he correctly made a difficult call and then lost a $50,000 pot, but at the same time, there's a little justice after everything that took place when I had the 10s against him. It's fitting that he loses with 10s against us in a bizarre way. I've only been playing for 1 hour. I'm up the most that I've ever been up in a game though, so I'm okay if the game ends. Hopefully, without me getting torched.
Alright.
I just need to get through 8 more hands without getting stacked, to survive what's been one of the most fun, but also one of the most nerve-wracking sessions that I've played. In the first of these 8 hands, Alan puts on the double straddle to 800. I'm in a rare situation in which I'm on the button and also first to act. We look down at King 3 suited, we raise to 2,000. Alex has worse clubs with Jack 10 suited in the under the gun straddle. She calls for 1,600 more. Alan immediately calls with 9-4 offsuit, not recommended. We're going 3 ways to the flop in position. It comes King 6 deuce rainbow. We've got top pair on a very dry board. It checks to us. There's nothing really to worry about. We've almost flopped our opponent's dead with 1 pair. I know Alan likes to bluff though. I want to give him an opportunity to do that. I feign weakness with a check back. The turn is the 7 of hearts. The opponents are officially stone dead. It checks to us once more. We need to start going for value despite getting the sense that the opponents are weak. I make a small bet at 2,500. Botez doesn't have anything. She folds. Alan has complete air, but doesn't want to let me have it that easily. He read me like a book earlier in the Queen Jack of Hearts hand. I still don't know how that happened. My check back on the flop completely throws him off here though. He thinks that I'm weak, and he puts in the check raise at 10,000. This is exactly what I was hoping for. I've discussed this in past vlogs. It's worth mentioning again now. When it checks through on the flop, then someone attempts a check raise on the turn. It's very often a bluff because there's no reason to think that there will all of a sudden be betting from someone behind. Most people with strong hands just bet to ensure that at least some money will go into the pot rather than risk it checking through again. I'd expect an opponent to maybe make this check raise move with some type of drawing or weak 1 pair hand. I call to keep Alan's bluffs in. My plan is to call a river bet of almost any sizing. I know that Alan is fully capable of pulling off some massive moves. I underrepped my hand on the flop to induce one of those exact moves from him. The river is another 7 pairing the board. There's over 26,000 in the pot. I'm anticipating at least a $25,000 bet. Instead, Alan goes with the $15,000 sizing to possibly target my missed flush draw combos. No hearts in my hand this time. I snap call, hoping that Alan doesn't somehow have a better king or trip 7s. He's not looking very confident, and I can tell that he doesn't want to show. Eventually, he sheepishly turns over 9-4 offsuit. My plan works to perfection for us to win a pot that's almost $60,000. It's by far the biggest pot that I've ever won outright. With this win, I'm up over $50,000 on the session in just over an hour of play. I took a chance by agreeing to sit in this game with some very skilled players, mixed in with some maniacs. It wasn't an easy decision for me to risk that much of my own money, but it paid off big time. The very next hand, things heat up with Kenny raising big to 400. We're going to play this one without seeing the graphics. Right on cue, Bulldog comes in with a 3-bet to 1,400 as he's done the entire game when Kenny opens. I've seen him do it multiple times with 7-5 suited. He's done it with Ace-10 offsuit, which is still light, and a variety of other times, including once with King-10 offsuit, so this 3-bet means almost nothing to me other than Bulldog wants to play ideally heads up in position against Kenny with 2 cards that are playable. We're next to act with Ace-Queen suited for the second hand in a row. We're at the top of our range. I don't cold call 3-bets almost ever. We're either going to 4-bet or fold, and Ace-Queen suited is way too good to fold. I 4-bet to 4,000. The action's back on Kenny. We've already seen that he doesn't like the feeling of being pushed around. We saw him take a stand earlier, 4-betting Bulldog to 8,000 with Ace-5 offsuit. His head has to still be spinning after making the incorrect laydown with pocket kings only 3 hands earlier, causing him to miss out on an extra $43,000. Most people would be on mega tilt after something like that. He's seen me 5-bet light already with Ace-4 suited for $19,000, so he probably knew it was just a matter of time before I potentially 4-bet light when he opens and Bulldog re-raises. Kenny might be taking a stand once more to get some of his pride back as he gathers chips and 5-bets to 13,500. Usually 5-bets are rare, not so much in this game. Bulldog doesn't like being caught between all the aggression. He folds. The graphics reveal that he indeed 3-bet on the lighter side once again. The action's back on us. We obviously don't love the situation that we found ourselves in, but we need to use all the information we've accumulated about Kenny throughout the duration of the stream in order to make the best decision that we can make. Earlier, he called a 5-bet shove with Ace-Queen offsuit for almost $12,000. The threshold for calling a 5-bet shove is much higher than it is for actually being the 5-better, so maybe he overvalues certain hands and is willing to 5-bet Ace-Queen offsuit or worse. We've also seen him 4-bet hands that are pretty much trash for almost 5 figures when he wanted to teach Bulldog a lesson not to push him around. I've already shown that I 3-bet Kenny light when I first arrived at the table, then I ripped it in light with a suited ace showing that I'm willing to be aggressive without actually having a monster. It was teed up for me here to 4-bet light in order to capitalize on the dynamics of the table. I just happened to actually have a very good holding for the second hand in a row. Because it was a good spot for me to 4-bet squeeze, it ends up being a decent spot for Kenny to potentially 5-bet re-squeeze. Being a viewer of the channel may provide some extra incentive for Kenny to make a play against me as well. I've got a bit more than 30,000 in front of me. I don't want to call and leave myself with way less than a pot-sized bet remaining in my stack. I'd certainly shove if I had ace-king suited, kings, or aces under normal conditions, whereas I typically let go of ace-queen suited when facing a 5-bet without giving it much extra thought. I mentioned earlier that the reason that I pay attention to players' tendencies during hands that I'm not involved in is to tailor strategies against them for future battles. Well, the future's now, and I know my opponent is capable and willing to make crazy unorthodox plays. The type of adjustment that I'm going to make against Kenny is slightly expanding the range by a pip when I'm on the fence about a difficult decision. Ace-queen suited is just too good of a hand to fold under these exact conditions against this exact opponent. We're going to see if Kenny really has it and wants to play for everything.
All in from Brad. And a call. 65,875.
What do you have? I have ace-queen.
This is when we see the horrible news that despite everything lining up for us to have maybe gotten 5-bet light or by something like pocket jacks, we're dominated again, only having a 26% chance of winning. I run into the top of the opponent's range one more time, except in this instance, we're playing a much bigger pot of over $65,000. It's the largest one that I played all year. If I lose, I'll be down $50,000 on the day. The decision is up to me on how many times I want to run it, and I honestly don't even care anymore. It's tough for me to win both runouts. If I win only one and we chop, I'm still down almost $20,000 on the session. If I lose $32,000 here, I'll end up processing a $50,000 loss pretty much the exact same way I process a $20,000 one. It's still a fuck ton of money, and I'm going to feel almost the same amount of pain either way. On the other hand, if I happen to win this pot, I'll be up over $15,000, and I can walk out of here feeling infinitely better, completing the comeback and potentially being able to win 5 figures after being stuck piles early on. I've lost 2 runouts against ace-king today already. I can't lose them all, and the emotional EV of only seeing one flop, turn, and river is way higher than the alternative, so despite seeing that I'm not in good shape, I'm in the mood to let it ride.
Yeah. Let's just go once.
One time.
Pain. One for Pain. Let's do it.
Kiku is here.
Good luck, gents. Thanks, man.
Oh my god.
You can hear by the tone in everyone's voice that they almost wish I would have decided to run it twice because they don't want to see me get torched for $50,000 today, matching the mark set by the previous person who occupied this seat. Here we are though, not so eagerly waiting to see what fate has in store for us.
Wow, that's spicy.
It's one hell of a flop when we're playing the new largest pot of the night. We've got a double gutter and backdoor flush draw, but we can no longer hit a queen. I really didn't want to see a king come out initially, but what I'm rooting for has shifted significantly.
Give him a pair. Give him a pair. Give him a pair.
The turn 4 of hearts is as blank as it gets, other than the fact that it would have given Bulldog a set. Our chances of winning are reduced to 9%. We've got just a few outs and one shot at it. Otherwise, I'm going to walk out of one more high stakes session in this room with my head down and a lot less money than I walked in with. I'm trying to mentally prepare myself for the worst case scenario, knowing that it's looking bleak. Meanwhile, Kenny's praying to the poker gods that he can hold. It's all coming down to one final card, and we need a miracle.
There's the king! Wow. Brad Owen!
Bad luck.
Gets there, runs it once!
Fucking pride. Wow. It's the pride.
That's what she does.
65,875. The king on the river.
Wow.
I knew it. He called one time.
I knew.
Always.
We win by far the biggest pot that I played all year. This isn't how I wanted to win. I always prefer to get it in with the best of it, but I'll absolutely take this win when things haven't been going well for me compared to previous years. I've been on the wrong side of a lot of coolers and massive pots over the last few months, just not being able to hold, so winning this one restores my will to keep carrying on through the tough days, weeks, and months. It's difficult for my mind to even process the emotional swing I just went through after feeling hopeless on the turn and then getting a count of our chips in order to have over $30,000 sent our direction. To Kenny's credit, he takes the beat with as much class as possible. He got it in great and was ultimately unlucky, but incredibly, he's still up on the day even though he's lost over $100,000 worth of pots in a matter of minutes.
Brad flopped the double gutter and got there on the river, and all of a sudden, look at the cumulative winnings.
Now Brad Owen up 15,000. Outlaw up 14.5. EFan 13.5.
We've got pocket aces again. This time we're on the button. I 3-bet to 1,500. There's no Nick game going on or anything like that. Alex just has a hand that he wants to play. He's tired of me 3 and 4 betting people. He puts in the cold 4-bet himself to 4,800. Andrew folds immediately. There are a couple of graphical errors in this hand. The first one is that it says Alex only 4-bet to 3,800, which is incorrect. As we can see, there are 4 yellow 1K chips out there, a purple $500 chip, and 3 black $100 chips. Also, his stack is incorrect. It says Alex started the hand with 38,000, but he has 4 pink 5K chips, around 15 1K chips, 12K in black, another 5K or so in purples, and 1,600 in green. Altogether, he has somewhere around 53,000 total to start. We've got him covered. I want to get as much in now as possible. I 5-bet to 11,000. Perhaps the 4-bet from me earlier is still in Alex's mind when I had aces against him in that hand too. He might be thinking that I can't always be strong, though I have been today against him. Alex calls for 5,200 more. We're heads up in position in a 5-bet pot with the opponent completely dominated. The flop comes 10-7-4 with 2 clubs. It's close to as bad as it could get. The opponent checks. The main hands that I put my opponent on are pocket kings and queens, ace king, maybe ace queen suited. I'm not too thrilled when I look down to realize that we don't have the ace of clubs. It makes it a lot more likely that our opponent could have a flush draw. Because of that, we're not going to be down betting. I bet 13,000 in an attempt to get all the chips in the middle right now. I don't expect to be up against pocket 10s very often. I'm rooting for a jam so that I can call. Alex actually has about 42,000 total. He's got one of the best poker faces in the game. He gets a count of his inventory. In my head, I'm repeating the same monologue over and over. Rip it, dude, rip it. After almost exactly a minute, Alex comes to a decision.
All in announced from Alex, a snap call from Brad.
I see Alex's cards, and it's about the worst case scenario I could have imagined. The best case scenario would have been pocket kings, ideally with no club. Ace king or ace queen of clubs would have been better as well, but now we're playing a pot that's over $100,000, and my opponent can hit any club or a 10 to win. I've gone through so much pain in this new studio. I haven't won a single all-in outright with cards to come. Even though I played multiple huge all-ins, they've just all gone the other way. Despite that, I want to make sure that we're not chopping this. We're either going to have max joy or absolute max pain.
Whatever you want.
I just go once.
And Brad wants to go once for blood.
I got in a large deficit early. I got all the way out of it to be up 20,000, only to put it all on the line here with just a 57% chance of winning. I'll either be up 70,000 on the day, or I'll be down about 40,000 to book another massive loss in this room. I can barely stand to look at the run out, though I'm in the 8 seat, and I'm the first player at the table to see the cards as they come out. The turn is the 7 of diamonds. I'm still not able to breathe properly as I'm getting the sense that it's just being set up for me to experience ultimate agony when a club comes on the river. Each second feels like an eternity. I want to see a red card so badly just so that I don't have to sweat as much. I'm not sure what I did to deserve it, but I see the 5 of clubs here before everyone else, and my heart completely stops. This is one more massive loss of mine that everyone will be talking about all over social media. It's one more time that I'll leave Austin with less than I came in with. One more time, I'll have to explain to family and friends that they don't need to worry about me and everything's okay. Except, this time is different because it's the 5 of spades that comes out. We win a pot over $100,000 to be up, way more than I've ever been up in a session before. I was so mentally prepared to see a club that it took me a long time to realize that it's a spade that the dealer actually put out. It's not quite the biggest pot that I've ever won. It's certainly the most satisfying just because of everything that's led up to it for me. I needed a win to restore some confidence and have some good memories in this room. The straddle to 800 is on. Dylan picks up king-queen offsuit on the button. He's a high-stakes pro from Las Vegas who I've actually played with a handful of times, included in multiple vlogs. He's very talented and has an extremely bright future in poker. He's only in his early 20s right now. Dylan raises to 2,500. We've got ace-jack offsuit in the small blind. You're never really supposed to be flatting from the small blind when the straddle's on. You're supposed to be 3-betting or folding. If you call, it allows the players behind you to have a really good price, and you generally don't want to be playing from out of position against multiple players. You also don't want to set it up for the players behind you to put on a squeeze play. Folding a hand even as good as ace-jack offsuit is completely reasonable, even against the button open, but we see Doug accidentally fold out a turn, so I don't need to worry about him coming along behind us with a call or 3-bet. I just call, which is totally fine to do when the straddle isn't on and only one player is left to act behind you. We're heads up against the button. The flop comes queen 10-3 with 2 diamonds. We've got a gutter with 1 over. I check. Dylan likes to flop with top pair. He's not going to let us see a free one. The button bets 4,800. I'm not in the mood to let go of our hand. We've got a decent amount going for us. Ace high might even be best sometimes. I make the call to see if we can drill a miracle card, giving us the nuts. The dealer is a friend of mine named Kevin. What do friends do when times are tough? They come through in the clutch, giving you the exact card you need to win a massive pot. Clutch Kevin, that's what we call him. I can't tell you how happy I am to see the King of Hearts. I check because this will typically be a better card for the pre-flop aggressor, and it certainly is a card that improves Dylan's hand to top 2 pair. The button won't typically be putting us on ace-jack offsuit after we just called the raise pre-flop. He's not overly worried as he bets 10,800 for value. We've got just over 66,000 in front of us and need to figure out the best way to get as much in there as we can. A jam is reasonable. I might do that as a bluff in some instances, but I don't want to scare the opponent off of a top pair type of hand or even some 2-pair combos. I go with a relatively small sizing at 25,000. There's still enough room for Dylan to come over the top and jam for 40,000 if he doesn't have much and wants to turn his hand into a bluff. I'd actually expect him to potentially jam straights, sets, and perhaps even king-queen to get value before a scare card comes on the river that completes one of the draws that are present. The opponent takes his time to process the situation. Eventually, he calls for 15,000 more. This is a high-intensity scenario. We're in a $66,000 pot. We've got 40,000 effective. I've never rooted so hard for a blank in my life. The river is the deuce of spades. We couldn't have gotten a more ideal run out. We've got 60% of a pot-sized bet left in our stack. There's only one play to make at this point. Like Eric Clapton on stage alongside Mick Jagger, we rip it with the stones. Now all we can do is wait. There's over $100,000 in the middle one more time. The pot is ginormous, and Dylan is getting over 2.5 to 1 on a call. As strong as his hand is, there aren't really worse hands than king-queen that I'll be playing this way and jamming for value, so Dylan kind of only has a bluff catcher with his top 2 pair. A call here will nearly get me unstuck for the session, which I had little hope for before this. Dylan is deep in the tank. A minute goes by. 2 minutes go by, and the opponent still hasn't come to a decision. 3 minutes have elapsed. Still no decision. I'm not moving at all. 3.5 minutes go by. Then Dylan finally makes the call. We turn over the nuts. It's a pot of 146,800 that's coming to us. It's by far the largest pot that I've ever won, and the only one that I've ever won over 100,000. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe buttons yet, what are we waiting for? This one is a huge confidence booster that changes what seemed like an insurmountable deficit to overcome into one that's way more manageable.